Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back. Please comment below where you're at. And we're going to continue on with our next lesson. We're in valuation and market analysis. And this is not necessarily in Maryland. It's all over the place. So this will help you in any state. This is appraisal basics. And we're talking about the valuation process of the Uspap, which I'm learning with you, so I have no idea what that is. Last lesson, we talked about CMA versus BPO versus appraisal. So if you missed that lesson, you can go back and look at my video on that. Otherwise, we're just going to continue on. All right. Valuation process of the Uspap, which is the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. You know, after reading this, you might decide you want to be an appraiser more than a real estate agent. I'm probably not going to do a class on that, but can't say never. But anyway, that's what we're talking about. They have to get certified just like real estate agents. They have to take a test. And one big difference between a CMA and appraisal, a CMA, the market analysis, and an appraisal is that the appraisers have to follow a formal process. While licensees have some guidelines, there are no hard and fast rules when preparing a CMA. They just have to keep their client's best interest in mind with not over-exaggerating. If you over-exaggerate on a CMA, it could cost you in the long run, because if you overprice it trying to get greedy or trying to get a sale and it don't sell and you got to keep marking it down, they're not going to want to keep using you because they're going to get frustrated that their house hasn't sold. And it's all because you were trying to get a little greedy and get this sale. I mean, don't do that. You know, if they can't take what they hear, then, you know, you just move on. All right, valuation process flow chart. A flow chart highlights the steps that will be discussed in your resources. Okay, so let's look at this chart. Open a new tab. All right, here's a little chart. You got to state the problem, identify data needed, gather and analyze data, determine the highest and best use, estimate the value of the land, then estimate the property value. Reconcile values to determine final appraisal value and report the appraisal value. That's pretty simple. Nothing fancy about that. All right, as an appraiser, the first step in the valuation process is to identify the problem. What are the two benefits of stating the problem up front? Let's look at our little resource over here. If you want any of these resources, be sure and contact me on my website and be specific as to what resource you're talking about, because there's hundreds of them and I'm not going to send them all to you. I'll just email them to you. Or you can just take a screenshot, and I usually try and leave them up for you for a few minutes so you can screenshot them if you want. What's the purpose of this appraisal? What am I trying to solve? By defining the problem, it informs my approach and what kind of data I need to gather. Let's say I had a War of the Roses situation a while back. A couple went through divorce and he moved out. It took him 3 years to hash out the details based on their divorce settlement. I had to figure out what the house was worth 3 years ago and when he left and stopped making payments. It's a whole different problem than, say, a lender wanting to know what a house is worth, what the buyers agree to pay for it. All right, so that's the problem. The problem is it helps the appraiser identify how much needs to be appraised for, type of data required. What kind of data do I need to gather? Okay. I believe that's the answer. Why we need to identify the problem. All right, step 2 is list the data needed and where to find it. The data will obviously change depending on the problem I'm trying to solve. Depending on the property type, is it commercial, residential, multifamily, condo, detached, old, new, yada, yada, yada. This is also the part of the problem statement. The third step is gather the data. Okay, this is a long step and it takes most of the time. There are 2 types of data and 3 approaches to valuation. Okay, we're going to come back to that more in detail. Let's check our answers. And I guess we got it right. No, we got it wrong. It's saying it's right, but then down here it says it's wrong, okay? So I have no clue. All right, weird. That's like very strange. Okay. What are the 2 benefits? Okay, so that's what it was. No, apparently not. All right, well, that one's wrong. All right, let's try these 2 and see if we got it right. Okay, all right. Process of elimination. Okay, what are the 2 benefits? It informs the appraiser's approach and it helps the appraiser identify the type of data needed. That is the first step. All right, the 2 types of data in gathering the data is a specific data, which is the site, positioning on the site, improvements, etc. The next data is general data, which is what's going on in the economy, the region, the city, the neighborhood, demographics, income level, employees moving in and out, the cost of living, which is a lot right now. So the appraisers really have a job right now because of the economy and what's going on. Approaches for valuation. I don't even know if I'm saying this right, so I hope I am. I gather general and specific data for 3 approaches to valuation: a sales comparison, cost to produce, an income and an expense approach. So when you're taking your test for the appraisal, if you want to become an appraiser, these are things that you got to know, and you'll probably have to go through examples of income and an expense approach if that type of work interests you. All right, let's assume the appraiser has stated the problem, step 1 in the process, identifying the problem. Put the steps in order, okay. Maybe we better go back and look at our little chart again. This must be like a test because they don't even have the resources up here. Okay, identify the data needed. I think this was step 3. Estimate the value of land. We better go back and look. I'm going back and look because I don't know. I didn't study it that hard. Okay, so step 1 stated, list the data needed, gather the data. Step 4 is determine the property's highest and best use. 6, estimate the value of the land. I don't know how they expect us to remember all these steps, but let's go and read it. Maybe that'll help. So one way to remember things is repetition. Okay, it might also help to keep listening and watching this video if you get stuck. All right, determine the property's highest and best use, which means not how it is right now, but from its highest and best use means if there were no building there, what would be there instead? Usually for single family residents, highest and best use as is right now is zoned single family. It has a single family and that's it. So that's its highest and best use. For commercial property, highest and best use comes into play a lot. If it's a warehouse now, what if we could turn it into a 10-unit condominium complex or a manufacturing plant? Even in residential properties, what if it could become a multifamily instead of a single family? Step 5 is to estimate the value of the land. 6 is to estimate the property value using 3 approaches to value. I value the property in 3 different ways: the sales comparison approach, the cost approach, and the income approach. And you're probably going to have to know all of those, but not for the real estate exam. I mean, this is more for the appraiser exam, is knowing all the differences in these approaches. They're just giving us an idea of what they do. It's important that you know, but you don't have to know all the details because we're not trying to become an appraiser, we're trying to become a real estate agent. All right, reconcile the data. It doesn't mean I add up the data and split the difference. It actually weigh one approach more than the other. A single-family residential, the sales comparison will usually be weighed more heavily. For a theater, which is a one-of-kind property, I might use the cost approach. And for a rental, of course, the income approach is heaviest. Step 8 is to report the appraised value. All right, 3 is gather the 2 is list the data, 3 is gather it, 4 is determine the property's highest and best use. We're estimating the value of the land, estimating the property value using approaches, reconcile the data, and report the appraisal. I don't know if we're going to remember all that. Let's see. All right, I think this is step 2. Reconcile the values. Wasn't that step 8? 7? I think. Identify the values. 3? Or is that 2? That might be 2. This might be 3. 4. Estimate the property value. I think this is 5. 5 is estimate the value of the land. Okay, let me go back up here again. What did I pick 5? Alright, so step 4. Where did it say 5 at? Highest and best use. Is this one? I don't know why it's not letting me take it off. Estimate the value of the land. Alright, I know this is going to be wrong, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, steps 4 and 5. Well, we didn't do too bad. Got these two mixed up. Okay, let's try again. Okay, I believe. So 7. I believe this was 3. There's 3 approaches. Was 6. This was 4. Alright, so identify the data needed and then gather the data, analyze the data. Okay, so I think this was 2. And then this one was 3. Let's see how we did. Okay, all right. Sorry guys, I forgot to let you take a picture. Let's see. Steps in the valuation process, part 1. Oh boy, here we go again. So you'll get a chance to take a picture this time. All right, let's assume The appraiser has stated the problem. Step 1, put steps through in order. Oh boy, here we go again. Okay. All right, so we're going to identify it. We're going to gather it. And then we are going to and then we are going to determine highest and best use. Okay. All right. So anyway, here you go if you need a picture. Step 4. All right, let's move on. Oh no, here we go. The rest of the things. Oh goodness. Just when you think you're done, you got it again. Okay. All right. I'm going to estimate the value of the land. Like I said, repetition, right? That's probably why they keep doing it. Estimate property value, pre-approaches, and then we reconcile values, and then we'll send it into the bank. Okay, so if you need your pictures, here you go. They may do it again. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, so that's the end of this lesson. Okay, and if you want to move on to the next lesson with me, it'll be in the next video, okay? Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next one.